Yeah, I'm sure you guys had higher expectations for this season. What's the mood? What's the atmosphere, temperature in the locker room right now?
I think it's still really good. I mean, you see what's happened, and I just saw something about Cal and their own 4 in the ACC, but they've lost those 4 games by a combined 9 points. And I mean, we've lost every game by 1 touchdown, so we know that we're right there in it, and we know that we're capable of winning all these games. And going forward, we're capable of winning the games as well. So people have their heads up, and we're really excited to get this next game at BC, and we're really high on the season.
Yeah, no, kind of building off what he said. Like we're still on this. We're still looking forward to every single game, and we still have a lot to play for. Whether that be for ourselves or the guys next to us. So I mean, it doesn't really change anything in terms of our mindset going into this week or the next. So we're just kind of ready to go for each and every game coming up.
Mark, when you lose a guy for the year like you did in the tight end room, like in Jamari Johnson, what's the mood or the mindset in that room to kind of fill in for somebody you've lost?
Yeah, it's really sad. I mean, as you guys can tell, look at the film. He was an amazing player. He was running by people. He's blocking his butt off. Um, it's going to be a hard loss for us to take, but I mean, we got the depth in that room, and people are going to step up, and um, we're going to play for Jamari this year, and just keep on grinding as we can.
For both of you. How difficult is it to get back to the right mindset after a loss like Saturday, especially with a short turnaround like this?
Yeah, I mean, we take Sunday to kind of review the film, review like what we did good, what we did bad, and then we do our corrections after that. And pretty much after we kind of put it behind us, we understand the mistakes we made and what we kind of just have to do for the next week to have success. So I mean, it's a pretty quick turnaround, but in terms of our mindset, it's almost immediate right after we watch the film.
I think you just got to kind of take it day by day, and you know, a day or two ago it sucked being on that end of the ball, but we've been on the winning side of things, and we know how that looks and how we can do that. So just getting back in here early, watching film early this morning, getting the guys together, and all the way from coaches to players, everyone's just gathering around each other, and I think the locker room energy is great right now, and I'm proud of that.
Thor, two of the things that defensively has been said is kind of the biggest breakdowns, I guess, communication and tackling. From your perspective, what are you seeing in those two things, and how do you feel like you guys can kind of use some of those practices? I know Jeff said you guys don't do as much in-season tackling or live tackling in season, but what do you feel like you guys have to do in terms of just improving in those two areas?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of tackling, the biggest thing is just making sure that we're thudding up in practice, we're fitting our gaps, and we're fitting the runs, and just making sure we're keeping our technique sharp. So when it comes time to actually tackle in games, we're not slipping off tackles, and we're actually doing our jobs. And can you repeat the second part of that question for me? Communication, yeah, I mean, that's it's a work in progress. We're going to be every single day in practice. We've been working on it. We will continue to work on it and making sure we don't have any breakdowns when it comes down to those intense moments where they're going on tempo or whatnot. Just making sure that we know our responsibilities and we get lined up fast.
Thor, when the schedule comes out, everybody has big. People look at Notre Dame or Kentucky or Miami. Is it fair to say that this is one that kind of jumped off to you? Like, I can't wait to get back there and play a game.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited to be back in Boston and kind of play in that environment again. So I have a lot of family coming, so definitely excited for this one. Just to kind of be back in my own old stomping grounds again.
You didn't see like a ton of snaps to start the season, but over the last month or so, you started to get into a much bigger role on this defensive line. How much more confident are you now as opposed to when the season first started?
Yes, I mean during the first half of the season, I was dealing with some injuries that happened in the summer, and I just wasn't feeling like myself. But now in these past 3-4 games, I've really started to feel like myself once again, and my confidence is definitely up, and I'm starting to play like the player. I'm starting to play like the way I know I can. So I'm very excited.
One for each of you, if I may. I'll start with you, Mark. Your touchdown to catch ratio is pretty good. Is there something about when you guys get down in the red zone in that area, there's things you do or patterns you run that make you the guy who can get a lot of touchdown passes?
In all honesty, I think that goes back to Coach Brian and Jeff Brom. I mean, you just look at the scheme and how they set things up to get us open. I mean, whether that's the running back on a wheel route or something and picking a linebacker or that's, you know, getting out as a tight end and linking out late, or just the wide receivers running a mesh route or something. I mean, they, in all my years of college football, they do it very well, and they know how to work the system. So, I mean, I give credit to the coaches on that one, because they're able to get us out and make us right when, you know, even we may mess up something. So.
Was that part of your appeal in coming here?
A little bit. I mean, you look at the past history of what they've done at WKU and Purdue and what they've done with the tight ends. So, I mean, it really showed, and they showcased what they can do with the tight end. So it was really, really fun to be a part of that.
And Thor, you guys had kind of a double-barreled challenge last week with a quarterback who's an escape artist and big bruising running backs at the same time. Just how do you cope with that, and how did you feel like you did?
Yeah, I mean, for us, especially on the interior, it's definitely you're playing the run first, making sure that they can't, you know, get up to the second and tertiary levels. And then in terms of the mobile quarterback, it's making sure we're keeping them in the pocket and keeping them contained. I mean, I feel like for the most part, we definitely did our jobs and we were successful, but there were times that we were, you know, there was a breakdown in the system, and we let whether the quarterback escaped the pocket or the running backs kind of puncture our D-line. So, I mean, it's definitely something we still have to work on, but I feel like overall we were relatively successful.
I guess just Boston College for both of you guys defensively. Mark, what are you seeing from them? And then obviously Thor, Thomas Castellanos is another mobile kind of guy. Just what's the scouting report right now on them?
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround. Was in here this morning watching their film, and we talked about it yesterday. You know, they have a really good defensive end, number 6, and they just got a really good team, and they're solid all around from what I've seen so far. And we're just going to keep it simple, and you know, today we're going to get through and break down some of their games and see what the coaching staff has for us, and you know, we're just going to play our football, and I think we've been doing that great, and we're just going to continue to do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, BC's quarterback, he's a mobile guy. We know he's going to want to run it a lot. So we're just going to have to stay disciplined, make sure we contain him, and then we know they have a great O-line, so we're gonna have to step up to the challenge this week once again, and you know, we're just going to have to, kind of what Mark said, play our football and do what we kind of do.
Mark, offensively, obviously you guys have been putting up plenty of points, but with Colin back at 100%, how much does that kind of even add to that as with him as a serious?
I'm sorry, you said with Colin back at 100%? I mean, you look at it yourself. I mean, when he went out with that injury, you know, in fall camp, it was a huge devastation to us. And then, you know, we've lost some other receivers as well. And having him back, I mean, you just look at the plays he makes in Notre Dame game, and then you know, he caught a little flat route or something on the sideline and turned up, and it was a 5-yard gain that turned into a 28-yard gain. So I mean, having him there and having him in the slot really just, I think, really boosts our confidence. And having a player like that who's able to make so many people miss, and I mean, the kickoff return and going 100 yards on that. There was a punt return he took and could have fair caught it at the 5 or 10, or I mean, he got a 20-yard return on that one. So I just think he's a huge aspect and huge bonus to our offense, and it just allows us to spread the field more.
What's your degree in from Harvard?
I get a concentration in economics and a secondary in Celtic languages and literature.
So then, what do you do here? What classes do you take here?
I'm just doing a post-bac program. Just you know.
How different is it from, you know, playing Ivy League football to playing in the ACC?
Yeah, I mean, there's you know, the biggest thing I've noticed is kind of the atmosphere, especially like when it comes to games. You know, the stadium's packed, everyone's making a lot of noise. I really have been enjoying that. And then in terms of the actual football, I mean, guys here are a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. The techniques are a little bit better. So, I mean, it has been a bit of a challenge, but I feel like I've adjusted pretty well to that.